Thank you very much, Omar. Good morning to everybody who's here, as well as the audience online. I'm going to speak about the primary sources on the Qiyāma today, but I think Shiraz this morning made my job quite easy, because I will not focus on the historical sources that are available, especially by non-Ismailis. My main focus will be on Ismaili, Nizari sources, primarily on theological aspects, not historical. If just want to touch the overview of the main sources on the Qiyāma, we know that most of the historiographies of the Alamut period, the Seljuks and the Mongols, have talked about the Ismailis and also the Qiyāma, the incident of a proclamation of the Qiyāma. The main ones, Dhikrihi'l-Salām by Juwayni, Ata Malik Juwayni, and Jam' Tawarikh by Rashid ad-Din Fazlullah. And the last one, the main historical sources, is Zubdat al-Tawarikh by Kashani. But you may not see much difference in their reporting, because all of them relied on the accounts of Tariq Jahangosha. In some cases, you see some differences in the reporting by Rashid ad-Din Fazlullah, because he had access to some primary sources as well. But these are mainly on the historical aspects and the arrival of the new Imam, ʿAlā Dhikrihi'l-Salām, but not much into the details of Qiyāma and what was exactly it meant. Now, in another category, we can divide the sources on the primary sources on the Qiyāma into another category, those which were written during the Alamut and those which were written after, post-Alamut. Most of the available sources are from the Alamut period that I've listed the main ones, but these are not by the Imams, mainly by Ismaili authors. So Hafbab is the first one by Ḥasan Mahmud, which was the introduction of his first diwan that we don't know for what reason the actual diwan was disappeared, didn't come to us, but the introduction remained as an independent work. And also Diwan Qa'imiyat, which is with the introduction, and the main diwan has been published and contains a lot of topics on the Qiyāma. The other one is Hikayat Sistan or Jangname Sistan, which is a very short historical account of the Ismailis, again towards the end of the Nizari state, which contains a good discussion on the interpretation of Qiyāma, but it's not specifically on the Qiyāma itself. The next one is Rawza Taslim, as a very important theological work by Tusi, and all of his works during the Alamut period, Rawza Taslim, Matlub al-Mu'minin, and Sayr wa-Suluk, are amongst the main sources on the Qiyāma and its theological, basically, interpretation, which was developed in later stages. So the only caveat is that we don't know what Tusi explains is exactly what Imam ʿAlā Dhikrihi'l-Salām and the first Imam meant. And the final one is the post-Alamut work, which is another half-bab by Abu Ishaq al-Hissani. This is very particular because it contains both a historical account of the Qiyāma and also theological discussion what was the Qiyāma, and also includes some details about the speech or the khutbah of Qiyāma that we cannot find in other sources. But my main focus today will be on the Ismaili sources or Nizari sources within our manuscripts that are available, and mainly the sources that were written by Ismaili Imams, the early Ismaili Imam of the Alamut period. So mostly Ḥasan ʿAlā Dhikrihi'l-Salām, but probably some of them were written by later Imams like Imam ʿAlā Muhammad and ʿAlā Muhammad. But the problem is that we don't know exactly which one were the author, because the author has not been mentioned. But based on the linguistic aspects, the style of writing and the themes that they have discussed, we know that these are by the Imams. So the first main source is a letter by Imam ʿAlā Dhikrihi'l-Salām to a particular person called Qiyāma. Most of the text, including information about the Qiyāma and Imam ʿAlā Dhikrihi'l-Salām's interpretation about the Qiyāma, are called Fuṣūl. Okay, we have many passages within our manuscripts that are titled as fast without any other indication that is by whom, but fast was a term in reference to the Imam's sayings and writings, or qit'a. And most of these passages are in the same writing style. Okay, the discourse is similar. The theme are the ethical aspect, especially in reference to the Qiyāma era. And I've included some of them here, which I will focus more on them. One is Fast dar Nishan Momen, Fast dar Nishan Ismaili, Fast dar Ta'at Qiyamat. And also there are some narratives on the stories related to Imam Ḥasan ʿAlā Dhikrihi'l-Salām. I've chosen one that is more theological. There is, I think, another one which relates to the arrival of the Ismaili Imams to the Qiyāma, which is more a historical narrative. I will not discuss that because this will open another discussion that will need more time. But this is more on the understanding that Ḥasan ʿAlā Dhikrihi'l-Salām had about the Qiyāma during his short reign, basically. The first text is a letter by Imam Ḥasan ʿAlā Dhikrihi'l-Salām to Qiyāma. Now, there is only one copy of this letter available, which is in the University of Tehran with these details, MS 8111, and it has been copied, the manuscript has been copied by Muhammad Shafiq Khwaja Muhammad in Shawwal 1180, 1767, and it is attributed to Tusi, because the whole manuscripts, that manuscript is a majmu'ah and contains a lot of works by Tusi. But when you read their letter, you can see that this cannot be by Tusi for many reasons, especially the language that he's using is not the language of Tusi that we can see in Ruzay Taslim, Akhlaq Nasiri, and in all major works. And also, there is a reference in this letter that he says that we have explained this in our Fuṣūl. So this is a clear reference to the Imam himself that says, I have already explained this in the Fuṣūl that I've written. So for this reason, and also the views expressed in the letter are very different from Tusi's views on Qiyāma. So there are strong reasons to believe that this is not by Tusi, and it is by Imam Ḥasan ʿAlā Salam himself. Now, I've selected one passage in this letter that reflects, one aspect of his interpretation. This letter is about questions of Qiyāma, about Qiyāma, especially in relation to the descriptions of Qiyāma in the Quran, especially in the Surah Al-Takwir and other verses that we have in the Quran. Now, he goes ayat by ayat and tries to provide his own interpretation of these basically verses. And in this case, the question is that, when in the Quran it says, when the Qiyāmah comes, إِذَا جَاءَ رَبُّكَ وَالْمَلَكُ صَفًّا صَفًّا. Okay, so God himself comes and the angels rank by rank. And this is what he says on the interpretation. On what he has asked about the secrets of, and the Lord comes and his angels rank upon rank, the prophets will be brought forward. The coming of the Lord, the Exalted, is the appearance of the light of Wahdati Qiyamat, okay? Not what the common people imagine. As God the Almighty is beyond Munazzah from physical transformation and movement. Against that which ye assert, it is Allah alone. These are all quotations from the Quran that he provides and then interprets, whose help can be sought. The interpretation of the angels rank upon rank is not what the common people imagine, that his head is in the fourth heaven and his wings are in the east and the west and his feet are on earth. They have assumed such a frightening physical thing that cannot be found through the physical senses. God the Almighty says, had we appointed him, our messengers, and an angel, we assuredly had made him a man. So he's saying that these are all, when God refers to angel, he imagines or features the man as a man. Now, the second source is a hikayah or story about ʿAlā Salam. It's a very long story, but it reflects Ḥasan ﷺ Salam interpretation of death, okay, and how the Ismailis should basically respond when there is when somebody, a member of their family, passes away. At the beginning, there is an introduction that describes what was the occasion, and it says one day ﷺ Salam was practicing riyazat on the roof of the Alamut Palace when Isfah-Salar Qasrani, the uncle of the Khuda Ali Abu Shuja, passed away. Okay, so we don't know who these people are, but it seems that they were important people within the Dawah. And because there was a uproar, there was a noise, and he asked what happened, and he was told that it seems that the uncle of Abu Shuja passed away, and people are mourning and crying. And he called them and invited them to the palace and tried to comfort them, and also explained how you should react and what's the right response, basically. You should abandon sleep in your heart in this mortal world, ʿAlā fani. And this is a very small extract of the text. And try to see the real world, ʿAlā haqiqi, through rational eyes. The sign of experiencing that rational world, ʿAlā aqlāni, is that you will consider this mortal world nothing. If the demise was a lover of the Lord Maulana, he would have transited from the mortal to the divine. according to Inna lillah wa inna ilahi raji'un. Why should one be upset about it? Instead, you should be joyful. So that's the way he interprets death. Now, the main sources that we read were written by Ḥasan alayhi salam are the Fuṣūl. I have selected few of them here and some quotations. But generally, when we look at the Fuṣūl, we can identify some features. They're all written on the dialect, in the dialect of northern provinces of Iran, Rudbar and Alamut. That's why that in many other regions that have these texts were copied, they couldn't understand them and they didn't copy them correctly. On different aspects of Qiyāma, so the themes also is on Qiyāma, and also it seems that mostly are written by Ḥasan, but not all. And you will find some kind of evolution, you know, that in the interpretation of the Qiyāma within them. So that's probably one of the reasons that they were not written by one Imam. They were written by different Imams in different times. And in terms of the themes, they are more focused on worship and remembrance of God, spiritual gradation and ethics, Shariat and Qiyamat, and also complain about misinterpretations of the Qiyāma by different Nizari Ismailis. For example, in one of these fasts, which is on Ta'at Qiyamat, it's a very short passage. He tries to explain what is the worship during the Qiyāma. He writes, on the issue that people say there is no worship during the Qiyāma, whoever is so has no worship and obedience, Ta'at. There is no khalqi worship, khalqi probably worldly or public something, a shariati maybe worship. But is the Khudai worship not there? This is impossible. The true worship is the Qiyamat worship, since the worship is solely for God. The Khalqi worship, which was ritual, was abrogated because it was transformed into the true worship, which is dedicated to God. So that's the idea of worship, that is, you know, the true worship is the Qiyamat worship. So there is kind of worship during the Qiyāma. The other quotation I've got from another fast, which is again part of the same manuscript. This is one manuscript in our collection that actually I have donated to the Institute because I got it from my grandfather. It was a very bad shape, and I thought that the best place for the manuscript should be the IIS. And it contains a lot of passages from the Alamut period, including Jangnameh and passages of the Qiyāma that I've quoted here. So this, they don't have titles. So the titles are something that I have given them to be identified, basically. The Rafiqs or comrades, may God protect them and make them victorious. This is the beginning of the fast. Maulana should remember God, or Maulana as it puts, in every moment, and call, recognize, and acknowledge him in private and public. And you should know that the best of all deeds is kindness, compassion, support, and unity with one another. As you can see, remembrance of God and kindness and compassion towards each other is very important in his understanding or his interpretation of Qiyāma and the Qiyāma era. In another fasl, in the same manuscript, which is called Nishan Ismaili, it says, there are people who claim to be Ismailis. They should know what Ismaili is, so they truly own the literal name. First, the sign of an Ismaili is that when the name was established on him by the order of a man, he becomes perfect, pure. This is the condition of being an Ismaili. It seems that in this passage, he tries to use the form of Ismaili, name Ismaili, and to basically provide an interpretation of what is Ismaili. Ism and Ali means park. I think my time is up, so I will go to the final one. So there is the complaint about the misinterpretations is very important aspect of these sources, which is found in the Nishan Ismaili. If you act on the rules of Qiyāmat and Wahdat without the orders of the Mu'allim Sadiq, you would have mixed Qiyāmat with Ibahat. You do not follow the laws of religions and their conditions, forsaking them for the ease of your life. If you have had hands in any way against one of your co-religionists in your life, then you have not followed the condition of Wahdat and Qiyāmat. Qiyāmat and Wahdat are very important and as one. Again, the final code, this is a later probably development that tries to explain what is abrogated in the Qiyāma and what is not. This is also in Tehran in manuscript. If the whole Sharia is abrogated, there will be shortcomings among human beings, and many illegitimate haram issues will emerge when there is no Sharia rule. You should know that Sharia is partly rational, aqli, and partly contractual. In no way the rational part can be removed. There are some wisdom and ta'wil for each contractual one, such as ablution, praying, fasting, religious tax, and hajj, and the rest. So then later on, there was some interpretation what can be abrogated and what's not. And in conclusion, we can say that proclamation of Qiyāma opened new horizons in the mystical aspects of Ismaili theology. Qiyāmat created a lot of questions for the Nizaris, some of which are reflected in the Fuṣūl, and the spiritual elevation in the Qiyāmat was expected to be side by side with social responsibility, and sources on the Qiyāmat are very limited, but even the few remaining ones are unfortunately unpublished. Thank you.